Hey everyone, welcome to our small footprint. Today's video I've got my quarter of a beef order that I've spread out on the table to show you what I got. I have weighed it all up too, and I've tried to put the weights of what I got over the top of it in an overlay as well. You'll have to excuse the cockatoos that are really loud this afternoon. So I've got that quarter of a beef order to share with you. So with the quarter of beef, I ordered it through Paleo Beef Direct. I'll put a link to them in the comments. I have yet to work out the exact cost that it cost me per kilo, because what you pay per kilo, what you receive is different, and I paid a shipping. So I'm going to work that out, and I'll put that on the screen here or in the comments below as well. I don't know that it's particularly good value. I really hoped that it was going to be, but I don't feel like it ended up that way. We'll see what the numbers work out as. It is grass-fed, grass-finished beef. It is really nice beef. But I think it ended up costing me a bit more than I'd really like. The buying quarter of beef means that you get cuts that you would normally pay 3 times the amount for per kilo, like steaks and things like that. But you're paying more for your mince and that as well, because you're paying... It sort of evens out a little bit. And as much as I want to do what I did, I'm not sure if I'd do it again. I might try a different company maybe, but we will see. I also feel like I paid for more shipping than I should have, and I haven't had confirmation back on that yet, which is a little bit frustrating. So I will break it down for you in the comments or on the screen or whatever, or I'll come back once I've figured out what's there and I'll let you know. But for now, this is what a quarter side of a cow gets you. It came all lovely packaged in vacuum seal bags, which is fantastic, and labeled. The last time I ordered this was many years ago, and it just came in like those thin freezer bags with no labels, and we had to figure out what was what. So I was glad to see the difference in the packaging this time. So we will thoroughly enjoy this, but I'm not sure if it's the right way for us to go ahead and doing this either. So I will let you know, and I will cook with it over the span of time. So the other thing I'm going to do right now is, because we have the fairly short video with the beef, I am going to cook something in the Thermomix. Now, a bit of a odd sort of an eclectic meal, but we have been waiting for the Thermomix to make risotto, because I can make risotto on the stove like the custard. Super easy to make. It's rice, it's butter, it's stock, and you just have to stir it. You add stock to the rice, you stir it. Then once it's thickened up, you add more stock and you stir it, etc., etc. It really isn't hard, but it is time consuming, and if you walk away, you can ruin the whole thing. So I haven't made it. I bought all the stuff to make it because I really wanted it, and then I didn't get to make it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it in my Thermomix, because a Thermomix makes a beautiful risotto. Again, the simple things about having a Thermomix are what I really enjoy. So basically it makes the entire risotto in the bowl, and then you pour it into another container to stay warm and get just set just right. The Thermomix has its own brand of containers called a thermoserver, which is a thermal stainless steel bowl with a lid and a base, and that's what I'll use because I got one with my consultant kit. So I've got one, I may as well use it. So I will do it all in the bowl and then pour it in there, and then it'll set. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cook up a piece of the rib fillet steak and slice that really thinly to have with this risotto. So the risotto is dairy free because we don't do dairy. So to do that, I decided that I would look up the community where all the recipes are, and I would on the cookie do, so that I could try the guided recipes, because I haven't done the guided cooking on this machine yet. So I did that, found one that would suit, changed it a little bit in cookie do so that it was more relevant for me, and then imported it into my Thermomix via the Wi-Fi, and I'm going to try cooking via the guided cooking because that's new for me too. So I thought I'd bring you along while I did that, and then I'll show you what we ended up with at the end. Have just unpacked the quarter of a cow and thought I'd walk through what you get in the quarter of a cow. So I didn't order any sausages, I only got mince. So I've got 3 packs of mince here, and I would say that these are 5 kilo-ish packs of beef mince. So we've got 3 of those. We've got a bag of stir-fry steak here, a bag of diced steak, diced beef. I'll weigh these bags and I'll put the weights down in the comments for you as well. I got 2 briskets here, a point and a flat brisket, 2 packs of ossobuco with 4 in each pack, 2 packs of eye fillet, which will be dinner tonight, oyster blade steak, just one of those, and 1 barbecue steak, 2 packs of rib fillet, and a big pack of rump steak. There's 2 blade roasts here, so at least one of them will be turned into jerky. We have 2 packs of T-bones here. Looks like 3 or 4 in each pack there. 2 of the rolled chuck roasts. Good size there. The 2 silver sides, I got them fresh, so I'm going to cure them myself. And then I got a whole lot of bones. Some of them I'm going to use to make a birria taco, and some will go to the dogs. And we also got a vacuum sealed bag of fat to render some tallow out of. So this is what you get for a quarter of a cow. So this is fairly new to me too. So what I did was I imported the recipe into the system here, and then you've got a list of the recipe here before you get started. So I thought I'd have a look, see what's listed here that I can grab out to make it easier. So I'm going to use ghee instead of butter. I don't think I've got any white wine, so I'm just going to use some extra stock for that. I do have the vegetable stock paste, which is a stock paste that you make with your Thermomix in the freezer, so I'm going to grab that out. And instead of using fresh mushrooms, because I just canned all those mushrooms, part of my I'm going to use, and I'm not going to use water, I'm going to use chicken stock and one of the mushroom stock with plenty of mushrooms in it to make this as well. So I've just had a quick look at all the ingredients and the basic preparation, and I'm going to go grab the stuff out of the fridge so that I know what I'm getting. So I've got it all here just to put on because it's getting late and I want to get it done while the sun's still up and on the solar. So making the risotto in the Thermomix is very similar to doing it on the stove, except it's less hands-on. So that's the whole benefit of it. So the first thing you need to do is put in your onion or whatever you're using. Onion, shallots, leeks, whatever the flavour of your risotto is, you need to put that portion in first, and then you chop it. So you stick it in the Thermomix, chop it into whatever texture it is you want, if you want it chunky, if you want it fine, that sort of thing. Once it's chopped, you add your oil and butter or combinations of both, depending on what you're making. So I did half oil and half butter in this, and for the butter portion I used the leftover butter emulsion that I had from the Kievs. So it's the smoked garlic butter with the fresh parsley and things like that in it. It's just to add a bit more flavour to the risotto as well, and so it's ghee, obviously not butter, but you can use butter or oil, combination of both. Once you add that, you saute the onions. So the newer Thermomix has a higher temperature, it goes up to 120 I think it is, and the means that you're actually sauteing the onions rather than just sweating them, which I really enjoy because I like my onions to be soft and less texture in things that I eat. I like the flavour of them, but I don't like the crunch. So I appreciate the fact that it's going to be sauteed rather than just sweated off. If you cook onions for long enough in whatever you're eating, then sweated is fine. They'll still end up soft. But because this is a fairly quick dish, it's nice to have them sauteed. Once the onions are done, you add the rice to the Thermomix. So the Thermomix has scales built in, so you just pour the rice in the top to the relevant weight, and then you turn it on to cook the rice in the butter for a couple of minutes. I don't know the science behind this, but I know that I do it when I make it on the stovetop too. You heat the onion, you heat the butter, you pour the rice in, and you mix it up for a few minutes until the rice kernels end up glossy. They change colour a little bit, and that's what we're going for with the Thermomix as well, the same process. Once that couple minutes is up, you add all your liquids. So I added water and a jar of mushroom stock, and then the chicken stock paste. So you can add all stock, you can add whatever you want. You don't have to add the stock paste if you're adding all stock. You can add some salt instead. It's really up to you and the flavours. You just want to get the proportions right. So the chicken stock paste that I used is one that we make in the Thermomix. It's basically chicken and veggies and salt and herbs all cooked together into mush, and you store that mush in your fridge or your freezer. It's got a really high salt content, so when you want to use it, even if it's in the freezer, you can still just scoop spoonfuls of it out. And it's just stock paste. It's basically stock paste that you know exactly what's in it. So I always have chicken stock paste and vegetable stock paste in my freezer. I used chicken for this because it was easiest to pull out of the freezer, to be honest. So that was the first one at the front, so I grabbed that. And I added that stock paste to the liquids as well. Once all the liquid is in there, you just turn it on to its cook cycle. So it takes 13 minutes to make a risotto. So I put all the ingredients in, I gave it a bit of a stir with the spatula to make sure nothing was sticking to the bottom, and I turned it on. Darryl was out the back cutting trees down, so I went out to help hold the logs on the chainsaw horse so he could cut it into pieces to bring in for firewood, and left the kids in the vicinity of it in case it needed turning off or anything, but it would just did the whole rest of the process in the 13 minutes without any supervision, which is what I am looking forward to being able to do, throwing everything in and walking away while getting other stuff done at the busy time of the evening, which is dinner time and all that sort of thing, and coming back to a meal perfectly cooked. Once it was done, I came in and then you put it into a bowl. So I put it into a thermoserver because I happened to get one with my consultant kit, but you can put it into any bowl with a lid or with cling wrap over the top, whatever you want. All you want to do is you want to rest it. So risotto is generally a little bit wet when you first pour it out of the container, and then once you rest it, it thickens up a little bit. If it thickens up too much, you can loosen it up with a bit of butter or a bit of oil or a bit of Parmesan cheese, things like that, to add some more liquid in it. It's much like when you make a pasta dish, and if you serve up the pasta, you serve it up a little bit wet because it starts seizing as it cools, and if it seizes too much, you add a little bit of the pasta water in to loosen it up. This is a similar sort of a concept. You can add something warm. You don't want to add cold stock to it because you're going to chill the dish, but you could add warm stock if you had some still, or you could add some more butter or some oil, anything like that if it's gotten a little bit too gluggy for you, something just to loosen it up again. And once it's rested, it's ready to eat. So we served this up with some sliced meat on top for dinner, and I made a second batch. So I don't know if I can double this recipe, and I decided not to try fiddling with it when it was for dinner and I needed it. So I made a second batch for the kids as well, but with chicken, no mushrooms because they don't like chunks of mushroom. So I made them up a batch for dinner as well. So all I did was follow the same process and turn it on for the 13 minutes and walked away to get everything else that needed being done at that time of the evening, and then came back and poured it out and served it up to them as well. So that was today's meat order and the risotto. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you again probably tomorrow. I should have the dry goods order ready to share with you tomorrow. So I'll see you then.